Depends on your loan program. On a conventional loan, if your credit is marginal, buying out the mortgage insurance can be a massive swing. I have people that would ordinarily qualify for a mortgage insurance payment of $800 or $900 a month.
Yep.
Because they maybe have marginal credit, they don't have a big down payment, so they're putting 3% down, and with their marginal credit, the mortgage insurance is expensive. You can get that bought out by the seller.
From the grit and the grind to successful minds, live from the entertainment capital of the world, your hosts, Jillian Batchelor and Daryl Hannah.
Hey, you guys. It is Jillian Batchelor and Daryl Hannah.
What's up? What's up?
And we are here today in studio with a special guest because we are doing the mortgage market update because you guys, everybody's out there freaking out about interest rates. They're wondering what is happening. Am I ever going to be able to afford to buy a house? Why have rates gone up so much? What the heck are the feds doing?
And
right,
that's
Daryl?
how it's affecting the real estate market, right?
It is affecting the real estate market. And you guys, we all know, okay, crypto's down. Stocks are down. Interest rates are up.
Actually, stocks went up today.
Did you make some money?
They're really going up and down, aren't they?
Okay, so today our special guest is going to be Jon Gedde with Simplifi Mortgage. He is the CEO and the Nevada Bankers Mortgage something chair. Tell us who you are, Jon.
Capital Lord of all lords mortgage.
The king.
Yes, exactly. Chairman of the Nevada Mortgage Lenders Association was the other one you were looking for.
Yeah, that one.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here. There's a lot going on in the interest rate market, in the real estate market. It's an exciting time for sure.
It's an exciting time. I like how he left that.
I know.
It's an exciting time,
Can you get that
guys.
over to the buyers for us, please?
Can you actually send that out to the feds, to the news? Okay. Yeah. Because you guys, guess what? Daryl, we need to tell people right now. You ready to drop the bomb on them?
Yeah. Go.
The sky is not falling.
Nope.
You guys, I know that you think the sky is falling. There are things happening. But guess what? I have been in real estate for 20 years. You've been in real estate for nearly 20 years or more, whatever.
Over 20 years.
Yeah, we're both right about that. And you know what the typical interest rate is?
6.5%, 7%.
6.5%, 30-year fixed average rate historically is about 6.5%.
And so with that, interest rates are not as scary as they perceive to be, right? Is that correct?
That's correct. These are not crazy high interest rates. This is just a little bit above historical average. What we've been experiencing is incredibly low interest rates since the financial crisis of 2008,
So what you're saying is that people are spoiled.
We've been a little spoiled in the interest rate market. We've been a little spoiled for sure. Yeah. Now we're just kind of getting back to reality, getting back to more normal market conditions. But there is good news as well. There's good news on the horizon.
Tell us what that is. We must know.
The good news is that most major prognosticators are looking at lower interest rates a year from now. Fannie Mae released a report recently saying that interest rates by the end of 2023, they expect to be at 4.5% on a 30-year fixed.
That's great.
A significant drop from where we are today, which is about 7 1/8. So that's a pretty significant decline. It's a great opportunity for buyers to get into the market now. You can utilize something called a 2-1 buy down, get a lower payment for this year and the year after.
Get the seller to pay for the 2-for-1 buy down.
Get the seller to pay for the 2-1 buy down.
So tell us a little. Okay, wait, hold on. So if I'm just a regular Joe out there, I didn't say regular John.
That doesn't know the word prognosticator or whatever.
That doesn't know all those things, right? Because right now you already lost me. So break it down to me. So I'm a buyer. Let's just give some examples here. I want to buy a $600,000 house. The rate that you're quoting me today, and you have the best rates out there. Little shameless plug for Simplifi Mortgage, but the rate that you quote me today, because I have perfect credit and I have 20% down, is 6.5%. Let's just say, right?
Sure. So let's assume that you qualify for a 6.5% mortgage. The way that a 2-1 buy down works is that the seller contributes 3% to your buy down. The first year you have that loan, the interest rate that you pay on is 2% less. So you're paying on a 4.5%.
Wait, so I can get a 4.5% interest rate today is what you just told me for 1 year?
I did not say that.
Okay.
For 1 year.
That's what I
for the
said.
first
For
year.
the first year.
That's what you said.
Your total rate is still 6.5%, but it's 4.5% for the first year, 5.5% for the second year. Then it would be 6.5%.
Wait, but hold on. But maybe if you're correct, if the feds kind of hinted at what they might do and rates might go down next year, I maybe can refi that in a year or 2 years or whenever it is that rates go down. So I may not even ever see that 6.5% rate. Is that correct, Jon Gedde?
That is absolutely right. That is absolutely
right.
Ding,
ding, ding, ding. I get 5 points, you guys.
Not only that, but because there's more inventory on the market and sellers are a little bit more concerned, there's there's much more opportunity for buyers to be aggressive and ask for concessions.
Okay,
ask
wait.
for
So
those
let's
closing
pause
costs.
right there for a second. Daryl Hannah.
Yeah.
I know you're out there every day pounding the pavement, killing it with the buyers. And I know, because I've seen you negotiate some crazy market deals out there, you guys. I know that you put a home in escrow, that you were the buyer's agent, where that house was originally listed 4 months ago for $1.5 million.
Yeah.
And you, for your buyer, got that price down to $1.1 million, $400,000,
Actually,
you guys.
No, 1 million.
Oh, $1 million. Oh, gosh, guys, sorry. $500,000. Woo woo. Okay, so he got it down, and they paid your buyer's closing costs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And I think we pay for a home warranty too, to be honest.
would you not agree, sir, that that is a better deal than they could have gotten 6 months ago?
Oh, it's a better deal than I could have got actually about 2 years ago.
Yeah. So, are you telling me that if I was a buyer and I bought 6 months ago, 8 months ago, a year ago, and I maybe would have had a lower interest rate, I might have had even 3%, but I would have paid probably 1.5, 1.4, maybe even 1.3 million for that house. Are you telling me?
About 1.3.
So, all in all, I would have had a worse deal 6 to 8 months ago on that house than I have today?
Yeah, you would have. And you would have paid, not only would you have paid your own closing costs, but you probably would have paid money, to think about what people were doing, having to pay guarantee money on a low appraisal. They're having to waive their appraisal contingency, waive their inspections. I mean, it was insane the risks that buyers took the last couple years.
Paying
Just,
way over
just from
appraised
that
value.
aspect alone. It's
Yeah,
an amazing
it was
time.
crazy. So we just went to a big national conference. We won't use the name in town, but let's just say they start with a Z, big national website, biggest real estate website out there. You guys could probably know who it is. But anyways, we just went to a big national conference. And these were realtors from all over the world. You guys, not just Las Vegas, not just the United States, all over the world. And they were talking about the deals that are having, and they were talking about the cities that have had price reductions. And actually, Las Vegas is only at an average of 16% price reduction. We can get you guys those slides. But what we're seeing is deals are happening. And we're seeing if you find a seller that needs to get out for whatever reason, now might be the time to have prime picking and getting a much better deal. I don't know about you, but if I can get a house, let's just say for 10, 15, 20% below the appraisal, even though I might have to pay a 2% higher, maybe even a 3% higher interest rate for a short term, that is going to fare me better because I understand dollars and cents, you guys, and I hope you do too. And I know Daryl does, and I know John does. And what that means is, yes, I might have a higher rate, which is actually still an average rate, but I might have a higher rate than I did in the last 2 years. But I'm going to get that property for much less. I'm going to be able to ask for repairs if there are some. I'm going to be able to get that property at a lower price. So in a year or two, when I go to refinance on that mortgage, I'm going to have an even much lower payment because my principal amount that I owe on the loan is much lower. And then when I go to sell that house a year, 2, 3 years from now, the average person in Las Vegas sells their house every 3 years, but the average person nationwide is every 7. When I go to sell that house 3 to 7 years from now, I'm going to have that much more equity in my pocket. Is that what you're telling me, Daryl Hannah?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You guys, did you see everything
Well,
you
it's
just
funny
said?
because, the same thing that's keeping buyers out of the market is also causing a lot of fear in sellers.
Yes.
So buyers are freaked out that 2008 is going to happen all over again. It's
Yep.
basically PTSD.
Sure.
Same thing that people go out through that go to war. I mean, they are freaked out.
Wait, and can
that
we...
is causing sellers to panic sell. And they're making some amazing deals just because they're afraid that their house is going to get cut in half, which it's not. But
It's not.
Well, can we remind
they're
people
afraid
why
of that.
that's a big difference? 2008 to 2012 was a financial crisis in the United States, really in the world. But let's just talk United States. Let's talk stateside. Financial crisis. Today, we're dealing with inflation. Yes, they are both financial issues, but completely different. You guys, John, talk to us a little bit about buyers the last 10 years to qualify to get a mortgage. What were the differences then pre-crash
Then and now.
versus after crash?
Yeah.
What are the differences?
There's really no comparison. When I got into the mortgage business in 2006, all you needed to get a $500,000 loan was a heartbeat and a credit score above 500.
I've heard if you could just put fog on a mirror.
Yeah, that's what people always say.
If you could fog a mirror, you could get a $500,000 loan, no problem.
Wow.
Very few questions asked. After the financial crisis, there was major reforms made both in underwriting guidelines and in laws at the federal level that mandated certain things happen in the way that we underwrite loans. You have to have the ability to repay the loan now.
Wait, hold on a second.
Wow,
Hold on.
imagine that.
I have to repay.
What?
You're going to lend me money and I have to repay it?
I
What kind
know,
of bullshit
it's a
is
shocking
this? I'm
concept.
done, you guys. I'm out. It's okay. I'm not
This is
doing loans like
ridiculous.
that.
It's a wild concept, I know. But yes, you do have to have the ability to repay the loan.
Okay, so that's number one.
Yes. And what that means basically is that everybody that's gotten a loan on a primary residence, secondary residence, since the financial crisis, has had to prove that they have the ability.
Basically, you have to have a job.
Yeah.
A JOB. You got to bring in
some
money.
sort of income. You have to be able to prove.
And a lot of times you have to have reserves too, because the banks
you
were
also
like,
have to have
hey,
money in the bank. Yeah,
we
you
need
can't
to
be
make sure
flat
that if
broke.
something happens, if a life incident happens, you're not going to foreclose. That's the big, okay, let's talk about the F word, because everyone likes the F word, right? John. Are there a lot of foreclosures right now? Are there a lot of notice of defaults?
No, there are almost zero foreclosures.
What?
happening
So
right
you're
now.
telling me that the
Very
market
low.
is more stable than it was?
It's incredibly stable. Yes.
And so why is there no foreclosures? Pretty easy, right?
It's pretty easy. Everybody that got a loan has the ability
Has
to
equity,
pay for it.
and they have
And
equity.
they have a ton of equity.
Because
So
not
if
only
they
has
can't pay for it, they just sell it.
sell.
If they can't pay
no one
for
would
it, they
foreclose.
just sell
You
it.
guys, if I have 26% equity, because, and I use that number because last year the market went up 26%. Now, let's even just assume, for easy number's sake, the market has gone down 12%, right? Since then. So that means in the last 18 months, you went up 24, you went down 12.
you
But
got
that
14.
means you still have equity in that house, you guys. Still have 12 to 14% equity right there. That's still in the house. And that's only the last year. So let's say you bought your house 4 years ago. You might have
probably up
40%
40%,
equity.
50%
So even if you
sometimes, yeah.
had 40 and you went down 15, you still have 25. And that's not even including if you put money down in your house. That's not including them. That's just market appreciation.
We're
And
actually,
everyone's-
we're actually near record high equity levels in the United States. We have nearly $19 trillion of home equity.
And
Yeah.
a housing
United
shortage.
States.
Don't we
It's near
still
a
have a
record.
housing shortage? Talk to me about that.
We actually do.
There is still a housing shortage. After the financial crisis, the home builders, rightly so, were a little skittish about building more homes. But then as a country, we underbuilt for the last decade plus. We underbuilt for the demand that we needed.
Yep.
So we don't have enough housing units for the number of families that want housing. That's the bottom line.
But the reason that, so common sense would say this should be a smoking buyer's market right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's not because they're afraid. But what you're telling me is that the inventory that has built up, and I keep calling it artificial, because it's building up based off of fear, not data, right? People are not buying because they're afraid. But at some point, I think once the buyers see that the world's not ending and 2008 isn't happening again, like at some point they'll get back to buying.
Yeah.
I don't think
100%.
it'll take long to eat up that inventory.
I don't either. And I think what you're seeing is some people taking advantage of the fact that house prices went up 24, 26% in 1 year. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, geez, I want to cash out on this
Yep.
windfall.
Yep.
A lot of people that are, especially people that are maybe considering moving or have other plans, that's a great
Get their
time
money
for
out
them
now.
to take the money out of the house and do something else with it.
Yeah.
Which, can we just remind people, though, that is not what housing was designed for. It wasn't designed that you were going to buy a house, it was going to go up 20% in 1 year and you were going to cash out.
No.
That is not ever a healthy market. I don't care what city you're in. Honestly, houses shouldn't even go up 10% in a year. The average appreciation in the United States is about 2 to 4% a year, depending on the city that you're in. And in Las Vegas, you were lucky at 6% a year. That is way above the national average. So it shouldn't have been, oh my gosh, you guys, we don't have 20% appreciation. But did we have 10? But did we have 12? But did we have 15?
Yeah.
And you guys also, let's talk about the average time it should take to sell a house. I've been in real estate over 20 years, and in those 20 years, the average home in Las Vegas took 3 to 4 months to sell. That was better than the national average, which took 6 months to sell. It is still a seller's market if your house sells in under 6 months.
So you're saying that it shouldn't take less than 24 hours to sell my house?
You know what, John? Unfortunately, it is going to probably take a few months to sell your house in a normal, healthy, natural market.
But I could have sold it in like 15 minutes in
And
March.
you could've.
and you could have, and that was definitely artificial. And for those people that
Not
took
normal.
advantage of that, good for them. Good for them. For those buyers who had to buy during that time, it might have been a little rough, right? But you're pre-buying equity. That's what they were doing. And if you're holding it long term, it's just like a stock, right?
And that's the
Even
thing.
if you pre-bought your equity, if you were a buyer who bought 6 months ago, if you're going to be in that house 5-10 years, it doesn't even
fine.
matter.
Yeah.
If you're trying to sell it within 12 months, you might have some issues because housing was never designed to be a short-term gain unless you're a flipper. If you're a flipper buying distressed properties, you're putting in improvement, that makes sense why you would make money. But if you're buying a house, living in it, because you would have to have a place to live anyways, and then trying to flip it for doing nothing, that's not a true flipper. That's not what a flipper is.
Well, even a lot of the people that bought 6 months ago are still paying less than what the rents are.
Well, and if
Right.
you're renting, you guys are paying 100% interest.
Yeah,
so the
you're
people who are
paying-
like,
you're
I'm
making
not going to
someone
buy
else
right now,
work.
it's 7% interest. Okay, so renting, you have no tax deduction. I'm not a CPA, but I know that's true. There's no tax deduction, you guys, if you're renting. You're paying 100% interest. You're paying somebody else's mortgage and helping them build equity in their property.
Let me throw a crazy rental stat at
Oh,
you.
give it to us.
The average annual increase in rent since 1980 to today is 8.86%.
Wow.
Every year, rents go up on average 8.86%.
Wow.
And that's funny
since
because I always tell
1980.
my clients, I'm
It's
like,
an
you could raise it
insane
10%
number.
with every renewal. 10% in Vegas is pretty typical. If you had a $2,000 a month rental, now you're asking $2,200. $2,200, I'm getting an extra $220. You're at $2,420 next month. So yeah, 10% is pretty about average in Las Vegas. So, John, if I'm a buyer and I'm on the fence and I'm like, I don't know, like, what do I do? These high interest rates. Now, we want to make sure everybody who buys a home can afford the payment on the interest rate that they are qualifying for. We know that technically, legally, all that, once you go through a lender and the lender says you can afford it, you can actually afford it. But what we want to know is practically, are you going to be able to afford it? Are you going to have to stop getting your hair done, stop going to Starbucks, stop eating out six nights a week? You know, do those things. So you're not going to be able to go to hockey games. I mean, how is your quality of life? And then what is important to you? Some people, the housing and knowing that they're a homeowner and knowing that they have the security of a house that can never be taken away from them is more important. Some people say, no, I want to travel all the time, be a nomad. I want to be able to go places and eat out 5 nights a week. Well, if that's more important to you, then buy a less expensive house. Live well below your means.
Yeah.
So even though you can qualify and afford it, make sure it's within your housing. I have clients all the time. John, you've given me some clients that you've approved for $700,000 and they say, no, I'd rather buy around $500 because that's the payment I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
We have a buyer in escrow right now. John approved for $650,000. He's buying $398. So buy with what you can afford and what you're comfortable affording. And still keep in mind all your savings and everything. But if you're a buyer, and let's assume they can afford it and they're comfortable affording it, what advice would you give them today? Be very clear and concise because these buyers want to hear it right now. Listen, he's about to drop the mic.
If you are in the market and you are ready to buy and you can afford a house, buy today. You have an advantage over every other market. Since about 2009, 2011, in that range, it hasn't been a buyer's market since that time. This is the first opportunity you've had in a long time where you can be aggressive about asking for what you want, asking for closing costs, asking for seller's concessions. It's a great time to be a buyer.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been listening for years that buyers moaning and groaning about inventory, and I can't get my closing costs paid, and they won't pay their own warranty, and they, and then here it is, and no one wants to buy. Which I get it. They're afraid.
Well,
Fear's a big
and I
thing.
think a lot of it is education too, because let me tell you, I had a buyer that came to me last week, and they were in that $800,000 price range, right? And they said to me that they were working with another realtor. They were working with somebody from their sister's job, a person that they knew. And they said the realtor would not write up the offer because the house was listed at like $905, and they wanted to offer $800. And the realtor said, "There's no way, absolutely not. Seller will never accept it. You're embarrassing me. I absolutely won't write that up."
So all agents out there listening,
are you effing
don't
crazy?
ever do that.
Like, we're not writing the offer. The agent actually refused to write the offer.
Wow.
Buyer came to me and said, "Oh my gosh, what do you think about this?" Like, the agent refuses to write the offer. The agent says we have to come in at $775 or higher. House is listed at, or I'm sorry, $885 or higher. House is listed at $905. We want to be closer to $800. And I said, "Well, what's the harm? If you write the offer and the seller absolutely rejects you,
At least you know where you stand.
Are you going to be upset, or can you write another offer? Can you go higher, even if they don't counter you? Could you write again? Could you write again? Could you write again?" And they said, "Oh my gosh, would you do that for us? Like, we're so embarrassed. Like, we don't want to make you work so hard." And I said, "Oh, absolutely, I'll write the offer for you." I said, "Worst case, they're going to tell us to go pound sand, and we can write it again. Maybe they tell us to go pound sand again, but then we keep inching up closer and closer and closer." Now, that may not be the strategy for everybody. And if this is your dream home, don't risk losing it. Go in at what you feel is fair and what you're comfortable paying. But why not take the chance? So we wrote that offer. So again, house is listed at $905 or, over $900. They want to get it closer to $805. We wind up writing the offer. We start low. We end up ending at $825. So from a $905 price to an $825, we got basically almost a 10% discount off that house, 8% discount and such. And if I would have said, no, you have to write it at $885, of course sellers would have accepted it. My clients would have been $60,000 in the hole. So make sure you get an agent who understands the market and is willing to take a little bit of a risk with you. Not every agent's going to be willing to do that. And I'm not saying write low ball offers on everything, but you could always do a one shot and just see what happens.
Well, yeah, 3 months ago, I had it was around $900,000 list price. I wrote for $775, and I didn't even get countered. They just accepted it.
Wow.
So it happens. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty rare. You're probably either going to get countered or a lot of times rejected.
Yeah.
But as an agent, you need to write the offer.
Well, and then today I have a house that's $3.6 million, and my seller said, "Hey, I'll take in the low $3 millions, and this is where we're at."
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay, well, perfect. Well, I bet you somebody wouldn't think they can take 10% off the top.
And here's the thing. I'm just going to gripe on this real quick. Agents ask me all the time, as the listing agent, they'll call me and go, "Hey, do you think your client will take 400,000?" I go, "I don't know. Send me the offer and I'll find out." Like even listing agents, we don't know where our clients' minds are
Don't
at.
assume. Don't assume.
Don't ever, and as listing agents, I hear it all the time on the buyer side. They're like, "My client will never take." I'm like, dude, just please
present
submit
it.
the offer.
Just present it.
I know you think you know what the seller thinking, but no one knows what they're going through in life or what they got into an argument with their wife last night. Or, I mean, right? There's all different kinds
and
of.
sometimes our clients, I mean, it can work in the reverse too. You can get a full price offer and the client says, "I don't want to take it. Why? I didn't like that buyer." Okay. I mean, you just never know, right? So you just never know what's
know
out
where
there.
your seller
Because
says
with
they're
real
at.
estate, you guys are dealing with emotions in most cases. Unless you're dealing with an LLC or a hedge fund or something. In most cases, you're dealing with emotions.
But
you're dealing
don't
with real
ever
people.
tell your buyer you're not writing an offer.
Oh, for
I
sure.
mean, I don't ever want to hear that.
Yeah,
Always
never
write
say
the
that. And honestly, I think as agents, it's your duty to represent your
have
client
to. Yeah,
and
you
write your
can't
offer.
reject it. Yeah.
So that's that's just funny. I mean, the good thing that I want to make sure that we tell people out here is that there's a lot of deals happening. Get the house. I heard this comment. It was from somebody on TikTok, a big real estate investor, and they said, buy the house when the house you want comes on the market. Not depending on price, not depend on interest rates. I mean, again, you have to afford it. But when the house you want comes on the market, that's when you buy the house. And so it was really good little nugget to make sure that we share with people, because I think there's a lot of fear happening in the market right now. But you know what else there is? Daryl, we just talked about this today at our team meeting. There's also a lot of cash buyers out there, aren't there?
There is a lot of cash buyers out there.
There's a lot of cash buyers out there. And
Especially, obviously, coming from out of town.
I've had some of my cash buyers say, should I take my cash and buy one house? Let's say they have 500,000. Or should I take my cash and split it up and buy two houses that are 500,000 and put 250,000 down each and get a mortgage for 250,000 each house?
Buy two.
Yeah, buy two, because guess what? If that house goes up and you have one house and it goes up 10% and it's 500,000, you just made 50,000, right? But if you have two houses that are 500,000 and they both go up 10%, you just made 100,000.
Oh, yeah.
Leverage your money and buy
Because
again
even
what
at
you
6
can
or
afford.
7%, that's still cheap money.
Oh my gosh.
I
that's
mean,
cheap
over
money.
the long run, you're going to do okay.
Yeah, definitely historically cheap money. Definitely write the offer and be aggressive. There's so many opportunities out there, and you don't know where the seller stands, either financially or emotionally. There's a lot of fear on both sides of the market right now.
Yeah.
You don't know. The seller might be terrified. They might be terrified, or they might have a reason why they have to get out in the next month, or they have to get out in the next 45 days. And yours is the only offer that they get. They might take something 10% less.
And so, John, let's talk about another thing. I know you're seeing this a lot because you get this. You get appraisals. So when you're getting appraisals in right now on all of your buyers, all different price points, all different, aren't you seeing equity positions? I mean, I'm seeing a lot of appraisals now where the house is appraising for much higher than we're in contract with. So these clients are walking in with huge equity. Are you seeing that?
We're seeing that on almost every appraisal that we get back. The appraised value comes in higher than the purchase price.
And I've done a few appraisal waivers recently. That was
And
kinda
again,
like,
okay,
whoa.
so let's talk about that. What is an appraisal waiver? John, tell us what an appraisal waiver is for those of our listeners out there that don't know what that is. And is that a risk for the buyer to get an appraisal waiver? Because I've had buyers ask me, and I know my explanation to them, but I'd love to hear yours.
So an appraisal waiver is when we run a client's scenario through a computer program that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have, and their data set, meaning off of millions of appraisals and transactions that have been closed, specifically in that area, the dozens that may have closed in that area, they're comfortable that the sales price is sufficient to cover the appraised value. Therefore, they basically say, yeah, we don't need an appraisal on this.
We already
one.
know.
Yep.
We already
The
know.
data shows.
We're certain because of our data that
And they
the
probably got
price is-
built-in like safeguards even to that algorithm.
Well,
They do. Yeah,
and
it's
let's-
very conservative.
Yeah.
Let's water this down. And I'm not a lender, so I can say this. John's going to probably kick me under the table if he could reach me. But
I'll kick her for you.
you guys, the appraisal is not really there to protect you. The appraisal is there to protect the lender.
there to protect the lender.
They're
That's right.
risking their money.
It does protect the
I
consumer.
mean, it
too,
does
but
protect the consumer, but let me water this down. So the lender's lending their money. So if the lender gives you an appraisal waiver, you better believe it's because they feel comfortable lending their money.
Oh, yeah,
If
you're
they
fine.
had any doubt in their mind
They're
that
getting an
this house
appraisal.
was not worth it,
Oh, yeah.
they'd get an
They're
appraisal.
getting an appraisal.
So if
Yeah.
you got an appraisal waiver, I love when clients are like, wait, should I be worried? Should I force them to get an appraisal? No. That means the lender is totally fine giving you their money because they feel that the level of risk is little to none.
That's
Because
absolutely right.
if they did think, oh, I don't know, are they overpaying? They absolutely would do the appraisal and then make you negotiate down because they're looking at their equity position. When a lender lends you money, you guys, here's a big nugget I'm about to drop. It is all about risk assessment. That's really all they're doing.
100%.
Is analyzing risk. Are you a good borrower? Are you somebody who repays your bills? What is your ability to repay your bills? What are the odds that I'm going to get paid back in full? You're not going to short me, and I'm going to make money so I can sell this loan to an investor, and we're all going to make money on the table.
And a key component of that is the collateral, which is the property.
The property.
If I'm not sure, if I'm giving out a $500,000 loan, and I think the house might be worth $300,000, I'm not giving that loan out. I've got to be certain that the equity in the property is sufficient for the loan that they're getting.
Does the appraisal waiver have anything to do, because I've heard it does have to have anything to do with the client's strength?
It does. Yeah, absolutely it does.
Because they take that into consideration too.
If you have better credit, you're more likely to get an appraisal waiver.
Because again, it does risk assessment.
Yep. If you have a lower debt to income ratio, you are more likely to get an appraisal waiver, but it is primarily it's heavily weighted
Most of it is on the property.
The loan to value ratio.
Yeah, so basically, you guys, if you're putting 3% down, probably not getting an appraisal waiver. If you're putting 30, 35, 40% down, probably getting an appraisal waiver.
Because they really can't lose.
Risk assessment. If I'm the bank and I foreclose on you, is there equity where I can get paid back completely in full and maybe even make money? It's a risk assessment, you guys. That's what it's all about.
Yep. For sure. If you are putting 3% down, which you absolutely can do, there's lots of programs to put 3% down or even 0% down, you're not going to get an appraisal waiver.
Yeah.
Period.
No, it's too risky because the market can change 3% swing either way. That's too risky. So it is about the strength of you. It's about the strength of the property. They want it. So again, on the reverse, don't be nervous if you don't get an appraisal waiver because you're only putting 3 or 5% down. It's just because you don't have a big enough equity position if the market were to swing.
Yeah, you just know the bank's going to make sure that they're
well,
okay,
and generally appraisal waivers are really only 20, 25, 30% down clients or more, right?
Correct.
So 20 is like the very minimum usually to get an appraisal waiver. 25, the bank is more comfortable. That's more common. 30, it's much, much more common.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to say one more thing too about the market is I've the few buyers that I do have, I'm starting to hear a lot about this, and I hate the term list price in a market like this because everyone's so concerned about, we don't want to go over 700,000, Daryl. We do not want to. And I'm like, well, okay, when I'm creating this search for you, I really think we should include properties that are up to 750, 775.
Because there's room to negotiate, you guys.
Yeah, because man, a lot of these been on the market 60, 70 days. We might be able to get it for 675 or 680, 690, 700. I mean, if your number's 700, don't stop your search at 700.
Yeah.
And for new agents out there that, haven't been doing this a long time, this market is ripe for offering less. Now, that's not going to happen on every deal.
Well, and the key is, though, for those agents who have been licensed less than 5 years, they've never seen a market where there was negotiation. Never. Yeah. So they're afraid if the clients...
They're used to paying more.
Above, exactly. Yeah. So that's something to keep in mind, you guys. If in this type of market, I mean, if it were me, I would use an agent who's been in the market more than 5 years because they're used to these type of markets. They know what negotiation happens in this. Those agents that are, like, I have an agent who came to us, not on our team, but wanted to join our team. They'd only been on the market like 2 years, and they were like, wait a second, you're offering less and less price on properties? We're like, yeah, because their mind, their real estate brain is just not trained that way. So they don't know. And when I told them on one of the offers, we were offering like 12% less, the guy almost shot me. And we got that property for 12% less. And I said, it's just the lack of experience. It's not that they're bad agents. They just don't know that that's what a normal real estate market does. So they don't know what deals to make and things to strike. And it's not just about price. Wait, let me mention two more things that you can do. So let's say the house is priced at $750 and you offer $720, right? You could also offer for the seller to pay all the buyer's closing costs. You can also offer for the seller to contribute towards a rate buy down. You can also offer for the seller to pay a year's worth of your HOA or your taxes or your SIDS or also, you guys, you know what else you can offer? This is a big one that people do not use enough. You can also ask the seller to pay, if you don't have 20% down, to buy out your mortgage insurance in advance. So that lowers your payment sometimes much more than just lowering the interest rate, right, John? I mean, that could save them sometimes $200-$300 a month, or lowering the interest rate wouldn't be that high.
Absolutely. It depends on your loan program. On a conventional loan, if your credit is marginal, buying out the mortgage insurance can be a massive swing. I have people that would ordinarily qualify for a mortgage insurance payment of $800 or $900 a month.
Yep.
Because they maybe have marginal credit, they don't have a big down payment. So they're putting 3% down, and with their marginal credit, the mortgage insurance is expensive. If you can get that bought out by the seller, it's a huge advantage.
See, and I have brought this up multiple times, and really agents licensed less than 10 years, most of them look at me like I'm crazy. Like, you can't do that. Like, yes, you can. They just don't know. Yeah. That is one of the bigger things. So when people think like, oh, just have the seller drop the price. Oh, just have the seller do an interest rate buy down or closing costs. No. Interest rate buy down might save your client $100, $150. Buying out the mortgage insurance, as John just said, might save your client $800 a month. What's more important? But if the agent doesn't have the experience, they don't know that. They don't know that that's actually a much bigger value to your client. And so that's a big one that nobody is talking about. I feel like that's the elephant in the room, you guys. Why aren't we doing what's best for the clients? Lack of experience. So make sure you get yourself with an experienced agent who knows what's better for you. And also, here's another thing. So let's say we pay off the SID, right? That SID payment could be $100 or $200 a month. That might be a better option than buying down the interest rate. Because you know what? If I was a tax expert here, interest on my primary residence is tax deductible. But let's say I'm concerned about the payment. Why don't you just pay my HOA for a year or two? Save me $150 a month. Why don't you pay off my SID? Save me $100 a month. And now I just saved $250 a month out of my expense, out of my pocket, while I'm writing off the interest that I'm paying. That could have also saved me $200 a month. What is more valuable? Well, I'd rather keep the interest rate deduction and pay the higher interest rate and then just refinance in a couple of years and have my other fees that are actually month-to-month fees get paid off in advance. What about that?
Yeah.
So just being creative, right? I mean, buyers, you need an agent who is experienced enough to save you about big dollars. There's also other ways you can do it. You guys can do withholds. Your agents can negotiate. Let's say that house needs a new air conditioning unit, and you know you're not going to be able to put the air conditioning unit in it because it's $10,000, $12,000, $13,000. You can have a withhold from the seller to have them cover that air conditioning unit.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things that can happen, right, John? I mean, and builders right now, let's not even talk about builders. We're getting builders who are giving us $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 to put a pool in the backyard, to do backyard landscaping. I got a builder right now giving my client $120,000 that we negotiated, $35,000 at the design center, $10,000 through closing costs, $10,000 interest rate buy down. So that's $55,000, and then the other $60,000 or so, $65,000 we're getting is going towards designing their pool.
Wow.
I mean, so basically, these people are going to walk
see that
in,
very often.
probably spend about another $10,000 or $15,000 in their backyard and have a house completely decked out. John, what other little tidbits do you have for us?
Well, I think we've covered a lot of it. There's so many opportunities for buyers in this market. It has really shifted from even as recently as March and April. It was 100% a seller's market. You had to pay over appraised value. You had to offer to waive contingencies. You had to really lay yourself out there as a buyer. Now the shoe's on the other foot. If you're a buyer, you have a lot more power. You have the leverage. There's more inventory on the market. There's a lot more houses for you to look at as well, so you can find a house that you really love instead of something that you were just settling for because it's the only thing you could find after 10 months of looking.
Yes, because in the beginning of the year and last year, we had a lot of clients who were settling, right, Daryl? They were like, oh, I'll get into the house. I'll redesign the kitchen. I'll redo this now. Now maybe you could sell that house and get the house that you want down the street with the perfect kitchen and then this and that. But I will say there are some houses right now, just a select few. If you're a seller and that house is dialed in and it is perfect. I looked at a house that just had a $450,000 backyard, and this house was perfect. House on the market 2 days. Well over $1.5 million. On the market 2 days, multiple offers sold above list price just last week because that house was perfection. I mean, it was like a doll house. So that does still happen. It's not common, but if your house is perfect, not the standard cookie cutter track home, but you got that perfect gem of a house, you may still get multiple offers. You may still get above asking.
Yeah, especially on the area.
It's all about
Summerlin
all about your particular house. If you have something unique with your property, and if you price it right, you can get list value. You can get above asking.
Yeah, you can get people battling over it for sure.
Absolutely.
And one last thing, I know we were talking a lot about buyers here, but I want to talk just for a minute, Daryl, you and I, about sellers. What is so key in this market, you guys, is, again, most agents have been in the market under 5 years. I think that's like more than half the agents. And they're not used to marketing a property.
Seen a buyer's market.
Yeah, so they don't know what they have to do to actually. They are like, oh, I just pop it in the MLS and just hope it sells. Nope, you guys. You need to actually market that property and aggressively market the property. I mean, Daryl, you and I, we have a team of 18 agents. We're doing calling trees where we're hitting 300 people in our database a day. We're getting to 30,000 people in our database after a few weeks on the market. All 18 of us are marketing it, doing videos, doing e-blasts, doing postcards, doing relocation companies, going to finance companies, emailing our database, doing property tours. showing the properties, doing open houses, doing door knocking, doing flyers to the neighborhood, going through our entire marketing plan of all the real estate offices in Las Vegas locally, real estate offices nationwide. I mean, we are pounding the pavement and knocking doors. And we are reaching out to our past clients, reaching out to upgrading clients, reaching out to clients who maybe in the last year wanted to buy but couldn't. I mean, we are definitely working harder, probably 10 times harder than we had to in the beginning of the year to sell a house or even last year.
Yeah.
So if you're a seller out there and you're looking to sell your house, you can't just pick the cheapest agent. You can't just pick the agent that you knew because it's somebody, one of the parents at your teacher school district is a part-time agent. Oh my gosh. In this market, you need an agent who is, when I say full-time, I mean like 50, 60, 70 hours a week. You need an agent who's going to hit that, who's going to have a huge database, who's going to have a huge network of other realtors. And when I say database, they just don't market it to realtors. They market it to other agents in the city, locally, nationwide, buyers, relocation companies, movie producers that have clients, wealth management people that have clients. I mean, we need to really be aggressive, right, Daryl?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is something different that you're doing right now when it comes to marketing homes that you didn't have to the last 5 years for your sellers?
Price at 10 or 20% below comps.
Well, that's the easy thing, right?
You have to price it correctly. You can do all the
Daryl,
marketing in the world. If it's overpriced, it's not going to sell.
For sure. But I see you're in the office 8 a.m. You're in the office sometimes till 8, 9, 10 p.m.
Yeah.
And you're working those phones, you're sending videos, you're detailing each and every property. And even that sometimes doesn't sell the home.
No.
You got the team on it. We're doing open houses. We're doing drip campaign. We're doing e-videos. We're doing everything. Sometimes that doesn't sell the home.
Well, and that's, I tell my sellers, I just say, hey, you can have the most aggressive agent that's been doing it for 30 years and does all the most amazing marketing, which we do on our team. Right. But even if it's priced right, if it's not selling, the market's dictating that
the market is rejecting your home.
You need to do price reductions. And the way you do price reductions is setting proper expectations up front when you do the listing appointment.
And keep in mind the creative way. When you hear price reduction, I'm not just saying houses priced at $600, go to $690, $680, whatever. I'm also saying a price reduction could be a seller incentive. You're going to pay to upgrade their landscaping. You're going to pay to buy down their interest rate. You're going to pay to pay off their taxes for 5 years. It's
you can
also
give them an allowance
marketing.
for flooring or paint, or you just got to get creative on. It all comes down to what's in it for the buyer.
Yeah.
And
it really is a tremendously different market. If you look at 2021. To list a house, all you needed to do was put it on the MLS, and it was going to sell in a week.
Yep.
And it didn't matter if it was dirty, if the carpets were dirty. It didn't matter.
If it was
now
overpriced, there were
to.
no houses on the market. Interest rates were at rock bottom. People were desperate to get into these houses, even if they were overpriced. And it took no time
and they were
and
killing
very
each other
effort
over these
to sell a house. It's a very different market now. We're back to a more normal market. I know this feels like the end of the world to some people,
but it's
especially
normalizing.
the newer agents
Yeah.
that haven't experienced a more normal market where it takes a couple of months to sell a house.
Yep.
Where you have to be aggressive on pricing.
Effort.
Where you have to be aggressive on marketing and actually do work to sell a house.
So last little tidbit before we end Vegas Real Talk today, which was very interesting. I think I learned a lot. I think hopefully you hear how passionate all three of us are. And if you guys are looking for a loan, we're going to give you Jon Gedde's information. It's going to be in the link here. It's going to be in the bio. I'll give you a little plug. He's done multiple mortgages for me over, 12, 15 years. We've been working together, Jon. Best rates, lowest rates, in my opinion. Lowest closing costs I've seen out there. And the guy is a beast, you guys. He knows what's out there. He knows programs. He's super forward thinking. He has an amazing team behind him. You guys should reach out to Michael. You will just love that guy. I mean, they work day and night. They'll take your calls at 7 o'clock on a Sunday. If you need an approval letter, agents, if you're out there, take my word for it. I wouldn't guide you wrong because we only use lenders who are freaking killers because we want to make sure the clients get the best deal. Right, Daryl?
Yep.
And so Vegas Real Talk, we appreciate you guys. Again, this is Jillian Batchelor, the beautiful, gorgeous, sexy, amazing Daryl Hannah, my business partner, who is not my husband. A lot of people think, oh, is that your husband? Nope, just business partners. But I love that guy.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes, and you guys, and again, Jonathan Gedde with Simplifi Mortgage. Shout out. Thank you for being on our show. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you next week on Vegas Real Talk.